Okay, so it's been an interesting year, and it looks like next year is going to feel quite similar to this year. At the start, anyway. So, it was nice to get back to some gigging, and I wanted to just kind of do a little kind of retrospective of some of my favourite gear of 2021 for me personally. This is a thing that people do on YouTube at this time of year, so, you know, got anything else to talk about, have I? So, anyway, first of all, 2021 actually for me has been more about a year of getting rid of a load of gear, and I do want to do a video on this at some point, but I've sold quite a lot of my gear that I wasn't using, and a lot of that was kind of pedals. Quite a lot of that was tied up in pedals that I didn't really use a lot, but over the years I kind of accrued this like pedal shelf. And honestly, I'm kind of more of a modeler's person anyway. You probably know that if you're on this channel. And I like the value that you can kind of get with a modeler, because you don't have to worry about sort of pedal board and all of that kind of hobby kind of stuff of putting together a pedal board, powering the pedal board, cutting cables to length and all that sort of stuff. So for me, it's been nice to kind of rock up to a gig with either just an amp and an HX Effects, or an FM3 or Helix, or the bits and pieces that I've been gigging with. So that's the first thing to say. But the other cool thing that I found this year, thanks to Ross Bailey, was the Boss OD3. Now I think maybe for some of us we're kind of a bit tired of pedals that cost loads of money and that might just be a slight tweak on an older circuit. Some of them probably SMT now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But the Boss OD3, I tried this out for the first time this year. I can't tell if anyone has actually cloned this out there. I imagine at some point someone probably should, because it's a really good sounding pedal. You get them on eBay for about 40-50 quid, and that's what I did. And it's a really great sounding pedal, and no fuss. It's a pedal from Boss. Hopefully it will survive. But if I was going to suggest one pedal to try, the reason being that it's cheap, cheerful, and I think it sounds really good. So the Boss OD3 for me is my pedal of the year, I think. The other thing that I want to see less of in 2022 would be these really delayed launches. So I think like with the Quad Cortex and stuff like that, you saw real difficulty getting those out to customers, and I think it has a knock-on effect of I'm not exactly sure what the thing is, but it's like a built-up frustration. So the FM9 was announced this year as well, and I've got one on loan from G66. A really great modelling pedal thing, and I think this is probably my favourite floor modeler type thing that came out in 2021. Basically FM3, but two of them in a thing, so that's pretty cool, I think, and can do a load of stuff, almost as much as an Axe-Fx 3 at the moment, but in the future that might be different. But I think this answered a lot of problems for people that were wanting to move up from an Axe 8 but didn't think that the FM3 had enough pedals for them, and yeah, it was nice to see that come. I don't think it's maybe changed anyone's mind on what Fractal are capable of. I think it does basically what people would have expected from it, which is probably quite a high expectation. Obviously you know that most of the time I'm using the Helix or the HX Stomp, and I think that's going to continue basically, but I will continue to dip my toe into the other waters and stuff and see what's possible with other modelers, and I think you can learn plenty from both, but I won't talk about them too much in this video. My favourite guitar of the year was this thing. Jake noticed it at Coda Music and he sent it to me, and he said I wonder how much I could get it for, and I said I wouldn't worry, I've already bought it. So this is a K-line Shoreline Gold with a slight V, I think he calls it, or a soft V roasted maple neck. It's got really awesome checking on it. I'll bring the camera up for some close-ups at some point. But a different feeling guitar to some of my other K-lines because of that soft V. But the pickups on it sound beautiful, I think. I think it looks amazing, and it's a real joy to play it, so I think this is my guitar of the year. Honourable mention to the PRS Silver Sky that I borrowed off of Dave up the road. A really amazing guitar as well. I think a lot of people are a bit sniffy about Silver Sky for a bunch of reasons, not just because it's linked to John Mayer and PRS, who seem to be fairly polarising figures in the guitar world. But it was a really incredible guitar, and I really enjoyed playing that for the time that I got to borrow it. This one still remains top of the tree. I mean, that's never going to go anywhere, but this was my favourite guitar that I got this year. What else? Also the Tokai, that Lake Placid Blue one was really cool, and the Tokai Les Paul that I've been playing the last couple of weeks is pretty cool as well, but those aren't my guitars, they're just things that I've been sent to check out for a bit, but I probably will be looking at a Tokai in the future at some point. Also honourable mention to Sire, because each of the guitars that I played, except for the one that had the kind of issues with the overzealous fret beveling, I think what Sire are doing is really cool for the money. And Larry did another thing on TikTok, I think, playing a Sire, so that was cool. Amp of the year for me, I think having something small like this, which can go direct to board from the XLR. The Mark 525, I think, is my amp of the year for 2021 as well. Going to gigs and stuff these days with a big amp for me can be a bit difficult, because I did have, after streaming with the Quad Cortex for ages, my back felt not comfortable. So the Mark 525 is super lightweight and super small, you know, compared to other amps, as well as having that XLR out. It's plenty loud enough for gigs as well. I found, you know, the master volume for the clean channel I rarely take above like 3 or 4 or even 2. It's kind of really got plenty of girth to it, but a great sounding little amp, and it's perfect for like function gigs and stuff. So that's my amp of the year, I think. Oh yeah, I guess it wouldn't be the best and worst gear if I didn't talk about the worst gear that I might have tried. So I think I tried a PRS Sonzera 50, which I bought because it was in a sale, I think, at some point during the year. That quickly went back because I was not a fan at all of what that amp was doing, so I think that'd be my worst kind of thing that I tried this year that I didn't get on with. I was slightly disappointed with the Eventide Black Hole because without the modulation on that, I found that there was quite like a tinny ringing sound to that reverb, which is mentioned in the manual, and you can get rid of it easily with the modulation, but I was expecting quite big things from the Eventide Black Hole. That was slightly disappointing versus my expectations, and I guess the shimmer of the Merus Mercury 7, I didn't really like the way that sounded, but the other parts of the pedal sounded amazing. Generally not too much disappointing this year. I guess maybe I haven't tried as much gear as I might have in the past because I'm selling quite a bit of gear. So let me know, is there any gear that you've checked out this year that you wanted to grab but you didn't for whatever reason, or is there gear that disappointed you? I had a Fender Custom Shop for the first time this year, and I quickly sold that one. That was the Red Fiesta Red Fender Custom Shop. It was a nice guitar, but I didn't really feel a connection to it as much as some of my other guitars, so that one had to go. Is there any bits of gear that you sold this year that you've regretted? I sold the Mesa Boogie Mark III, the hardwood one, and then I bought that one back because I thought that was a bad idea. Interesting to know, what was your favourite gear of the year? What was your least favourite gear of the year? Are there any big disappointments for you? I guess the HX Stomp XL came out, which I was sort of, I could see why it exists, but it wasn't a thing that particularly excited me. That's a thing. The Quad Cortex, I think, has had a bit of a tricky year. A lot of promises or a lot of expectations, and still like an unknown kind of future for that thing. I think I said at the time, you probably need to be buying it for the feature set that it has now rather than what is being said will be possible in the future. I think that has remained to be fairly good advice. Oh yeah, I guess best plugin of the year. I thought the Archetype Petrucci was actually really cool, and that stood out to me from any of the other things I tried this year. I think I tried some ML audio stuff, and but I thought that the Archetype Petrucci, of all the Nora DSP stuff, was standing out to me as being fairly distinct, aside from like the Corey Wong thing. And it was nice to have a plugin that wasn't sort of 5150 JCM 800 based, have something a bit more Mark based. There's a Boogie Mark, and it looks really cool. So I did that trial, and I thought that was a really cool little piece of kit. I know, I'll catch you in another video soon. Thank you for stopping by, thank you for continuing to watch the nonsense on this channel, and I'll hopefully see you in another video soon. Cheers.